Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar fan commentary track video. This one is going to be for Book 2 Earth Episode 17, Lake Laogai. If you have other suggestions for episodes of Avatar or Korra, let me know in the comments below. But to sync up your copy of the episode with this commentary track, have the episode ready to go at the start of this episode, including the introduction, whether that be your DVD, Blu-ray, Netflix, or other online stream. And I'm going to be wrapping up this intro to the video in just a second. Then there'll be a 10-second pause with no audio, just silence. And then when I start speaking again after that pause, I will hit play, you hit play, and we should be synced up after that. So, bringing the introduction of the video to a close, again, after the pause and you hear me speak again, hit play and we'll both be synced up. Okay, so here we are with 217 Lake Laogai. So I have this rated on my list at I think the number 16 slot, so very high up in the A rank tier of my episodes, so it's in that highest tier, more towards the bottom just because I think there are better episodes, but this is still fantastic. This is where we get, I think, most of the big resolution to a lot of the kind of initial sort of conspiracy and Ba Sing Se stuff. It obviously continues into the next episode as they properly convince King Kwei to believe them, and then it continues on beyond that with the idea of, like, you know, Azula taking over. But this is a nice kind of second part to 14, which is the City of Walls and Secrets. It is an interesting structural thing within Book 2 that you have 214 as this very plot-focused episode of the crew coming into Ba Sing Se. Then you have the Tales of Ba Sing Se to be a more sort of, you know, selection of short story style episodes that doesn't really have anything particularly like crazy important. It's good, but it's not super important. And then 216, of course, is Appa's Lost Days, so we're completely sort of side story going back in time to catch up with where Appa is. So it is set up for this episode, but for the most part it has been sort of a 2-episode break from the general plot that's going on here of, like, Jet was taken away. It helps to have that, I suppose, break in a way of, like, when Jet turns up in this episode, it's like, wait, what? Like, did I miss something? Was there a tale of Jet from the Tales of Ba Sing Se? But no, it's meant to be the idea of the brainwashing again. And so, yeah, fun moment at the start. They get a professionally made poster, and Sokka's not so great designs, of course. He has great ideas, he can't put them on paper particularly. He improves, but, you know, he's not the greatest artist. He's no Milo. Is he even an Iki? And a blind joke, of course. And then Aang just, like, throwing these things out. But of course, little do they know, like, they're going to get into the hands of everyone, including, you know, Iroh Zuko. And just how successful Iroh is in Ba Sing Se. It kind of shows you, in a way, like, the destiny of Iroh with Ba Sing Se, that, like, this is the place of his worst defeat, probably the worst thing to happen to him in his life, but it's also this destiny that he has to one day take it back, which he thinks he's misinterpreted, but now he's ended up coming here and he's being super successful, like finding a job as a tea brewer, becoming the best tea brewer, and now being offered a tea shop of his own. It's everything Iroh wants, but is it everything Zuko wants? And that's the point that I think is being made in all of this, that even though Zuko sort of changes at the end of this episode going into the next episode, is the Zuko that we see that comes out of that metamorphosis the Zuko that he needs to be? And it's like, it's a potential Zuko, and it's this idea of the Zuko that we need isn't this one or the one for the next episode, nor is it the one who needs to fulfill his honor, get his honor back from his father. It's this other one we're waiting to come out in Book 3. And here we go. Of course, right as things are sort of going a little bit better, a clue. Finding out that Appa's missing, the Avatar's in the city, there's hope again. And that's the interesting thing again, of like that the Avatar is hope for Zuko. And he's been fairly okay. Again, he had the nice time with Jin in in that episode, the date. Things have been going okay. He's not been overly focused on the search for Aang and stuff like that. But problems are coming up, of course. And original Judy is back. The voice acting is fantastic on Judy. A vacation to Lake Laogai. That ultimately is probably a mistake of the system. They shouldn't just call every single one of them Judy. I get they have to get a lot of sort of like attendance basically, and so it's probably more efficient to have them all be called Judy because the place is so big. But you can see the mistake that can come up. Angry Aang again. And just, they are not giving Judy a chance here. And you see, just, it's not working, and the brainwashing is beginning to come undone for Judy. But now the Dai Li are onto them. And here we go. I love the color here, just the idea that they're kind of, using the crystals for light, sort of green lighting. It's very Earth Kingdom-y. In the same way that like the Fire Lord always has his kind of like throne with the flames in the background, so everything is lit in flames. The kind of like trigger word for the full brainwashing commitment once again. That's important to get that here, and it'll come up later on. So yeah, I suppose they're burning the crystals here to get this sort of green flame. Very cool. And that's the thing, like Long Feng is really, really kind of intelligent and clever. He almost gets forgotten a little bit as a villain because they don't quite give him a full backstory. That like, we get the basic idea that he rose up from nothing to become someone in this very important and powerful position. And it's super impressive. But immediately he's completely overshadowed by Azula. And here we go, And here we go, nice point from Zuko. Ultimately, it is the stuff that's going better for... it's going better for Iroh. And it's good advice of like, you can just choose to live a normal life if you want. But Iroh's point here is that, okay, you want something more. And it's not exactly what Ozai is offering you. So what is it? And that's the thing. Zuko hasn't really been, as he says later on in the episode, asking himself the real questions. He wants more than just a normal life, settling down in the Earth Kingdom. It's not quite going to happen right now, going back to his father in the Fire Nation. So what is it? And ultimately we know it is him change the Fire Nation as the Fire Lord. Get to position and properly, truly change things. But he hasn't figured that out yet. And here we go. Jet out of nowhere. Wasn't he arrested by the Dai Li? I like the blush there of just like the embarrassment of like, she seeing him again is just like, I can't believe I ever had a crush on this guy. And she is like so much more skilled meeting him again now. That like, Aang was the only one who was sort of a match for Jet back in the first season in terms of just combat ability. But now Katara can handle him easily. And like, yikes. Nearly got him there. And of course, this becomes a little bit of an arc for Katara over like the entire season of like, Jet dies here in this episode. But like, you have Jet from the first book, you have this episode in this book, and then you of course have effectively, I would consider like the Puppet Master and also Southern Raiders to be episodes that more or less reference Jet and that idea of he hates all Fire Nation people because of what happened to him, which is a very kind of negative viewpoint to have. He was willing to kill innocent people back in Jet. He's basically, he doesn't really know like Zuko's the prince, but he's just going after them because they're firebenders. And that's the same approach that Hama takes, and that Katara is kind of going down in the Southern Raiders, as Aang points out. So I like that little like arc of just sort of Jet's mentality ending up being something that Katara kind of has towards the end, even though he's kind of gone at that point in book 3. And so he does have, he is telling the truth. That's important. Toph can sense if people are lying or not. Which becomes, again, an important setup for later on in terms of the confirmation that he's not going to be okay. The confirmation that he is dying or is going to die. Leaving. Whaletail Island. We've heard that place mentioned a few times. And the basic idea is that like it's, I suppose, kind of near Kyoshi Island, sort of. Not quite, I don't think. It's in around that area of like, it's the Southern Earth Kingdom type general area. Old Sweepy. And they're ready to go to like leave the city here, which is what Long Feng wants. And Toph is just like, did you not fill me in on this one? And yeah, there we go. That makes sense. Toph, of course, would hate Ba Sing Se. And yeah, here's a lie of like, they're happy to see him. He's been arrested by the Dai Li. He's being truthful in saying that, but they're being truthful. What's going on? It's a little bit of a stretch. The Sokka can immediately, just from no real evidence, figure out brainwashing. But combined with the Judy thing, I suppose it sort of makes sense. And the fact that no one can talk about the war, there has to be brainwashing going on. The fact that enough people don't know. So I don't think it's too big of a stretch. But yeah, it's cool, you know, Smeller B. Longshot getting a chance to be in a little bit more in the spotlight here. Do I ship them? Pretty much, yeah. I think that you had it like one or two of those moments of like she looks to him for sort of like emotional support. He just gives a look and she's fine with that. I think there's enough there to sort of be like, yeah, they're close. They never really confirm it. Like, they're still together, like, I suppose just they pair them up in like the comics. I don't know if they're still a couple or anything, but you know, it'd be fun to come back to it. Smeller Shot, of course, the ship name. Blue Spirit is back. And of course the Blue Spirit is meant to represent sort of Zuko at his worst in terms of like not thinking things through, being at his most desperate. He puts that mask on to sort of, you know, really play into the way he sort of views himself compared to Azula, of as the loser of the two, the one who was lucky to be born versus the born lucky character. That's the way that's why the Blue Spirit is the character in the play who always loses, obviously as part of the story. When they were young, he had to always play that character when they acted out Love Amongst the Dragons, and that's why the Blue Spirit is kind of a very symbolic thing that's important for Zuko, and why him leaving it behind here in this episode at the end is so important. But Jet's flashback here, very important in the context of his arc, to find out that, oh, Colonel Monkey and the Rough Rhinos, they're the specific people of the Fire Nation he has an issue with. They're the people he should direct his vengeance towards, but hasn't been able to find them yet. Even though Team Avatar and Zuko and Iroh have both come into contact with the Rough Rhinos. And it's unfortunate because they've been recently used in the comics, and it's felt like they've more or less been sort of, absolved of really much wrongdoing. They're like bodyguards now. They're kind of considered a little bit of a joke, but to Jet, it's the most serious thing in the world. But still, it's a very tragic part of Jet's arc that he dies without ever really getting to address the core of why he hates the Fire Nation. And it's a very tragic thing for them to do, to just, they kill off one of our young characters here, very brutally in fact, and there's no major positive for it. Beyond the fact that he makes the right decision in the end to fight alongside Team Avatar, there's no other positive to really take away from it though. But yeah, here we are, Lake Laogai. Again, the lighting here on the ground is really good. The glowing crystals, of course. And yeah, you can see they do just have them all called Judy. They maybe in a different room they have another group of attendants going by a different name, but there's the brainwashing, of course. And here we go. We think it's the group finding Appa, but no, it's Zuko finding Appa. What's he going to do? Because they're in the same place. It's obviously a big place underground, but he can't control Appa. He can maybe hold flame up to him to stop him from doing anything, but it's a powerful animal. Can Zuko do much really if he lets Appa free and tries to get him out? A signal of just the desperation here. Zuko, things were going okay, but he chose to take on this impossible task. And if not for Iroh following him, who knows what could have happened if Iroh didn't sort of help Zuko get out of this situation. But yeah, this isn't going well for Long Feng. Opponents who can actually take the Dai Li on without many problems, like Toph versus the Dai Li, it's you think you're good, I'm better. Here, this is the perfect example of just how good Toph actually is. You have the Blind Bandit, but here she is up against so many Dai Li agents. But also I like the non-bender flair from the Freedom Fighters here. Jed is an amazing swordsman with the hook swords. Longshot is basically kind of Deadeye archer. Very impressive. And then the split up here of Aang and Jet on their own with Long Feng, who is a powerful bender. He was able to flip the earth under Appa to put Appa underground. So it's not an immediately 2-on-1 they're going to win here. This is a master earthbender they're up against. And here we go. And now we get Aang versus Jet again. And here we go. Iroh. This is such a fantastic scene. We've been waiting for this. Iroh's been so patient with Zuko in terms of never overly directing him of this is what you have to do. Just advising him, giving him advice, trying to lead him in a different direction. But here he's what are you doing? And he's just noting in the North Pole you nearly died. Here, what's the idea? You're going to get captured by the Dai Li again? And it's like, is it? Is it? I love Iroh countering that. Because like, the thing is that Iroh knows about destiny. He misinterpreted his own one with the failure of Ba Sing Se. And it's going to come around in the finale. Take back Ba Sing Se for the Earth Kingdom, not for the Fire Nation. And it's such a simple statement, but it's so powerful. Who are you? What do you want? Like, who is Zuko? Does he want to be the next evil Fire Lord, the Prince of the Fire Nation in the way it is? Or is this the Zuko who has experienced the tragedy across the Earth Kingdom, has seen the effect that the Fire Nation have on other people, the fact that they're hated, and he could be someone different, more idealistic and optimistic for the Fire Nation? What is his path? Because we know deep down Zuko is a good person. So him going down the Ozai path is not the way he should go down. But what is going to convince him to stay on the positive side of things? But yeah, him being the leader, his friends, his family basically, the freedom fighters, are what bring him back. And then sudden attempt to go for lethal move, but leaves himself wide open because he overextended. And just one blow, look at the height of that thing compared to how tall Jet is. He took an earth blow, like, I suppose, directly to the chest. No ability to dodge it whatsoever. And it's just that, like, ooh, Long Feng going for lethal there. Very impressive. But this is the idea of, I suppose, basically, like, the idea is meant to be that, like, the blow probably, like, broke, like, all of his ribs and did much more than that. The fact that Katara is like, with healing, like, I don't know if I can do this. And they immediately know that, like, yeah, long shot, perfect decision to make him speak here. And they listen. They do the thing of, he speaks only rarely, but you listen to what he says. And deep down, despite all the anger, Katara's upset about this. And Toph noting that, like, when he said he's going to be okay, he's not. He knows this is bad, but he's just putting on a good face for them. There's been so much speculation about, like, what was Longshot doing there? Is he going to put Jet out of his misery, or is he just defending against if any Dai Li agents show up? I think the way to view it is that he's just defending against Dai Li showing up, but he seems like the type of character that maybe he would do that if Jet is just going to be in pain for a bunch of hours. Maybe put him out of his misery. I don't know if they necessarily accomplished that by, like, an arrow like that, given that, like, I suppose Smellerbee uses daggers and stuff like that. That would probably be the more sort of painless way to do it if you were going to do that. But yeah, Long Feng gets his sort of second group here to outnumber them, but Zuko has allowed Appa to go free. The return of Appa after, like, what, 7 episodes? He was taken at the end of the library. Back here, double earthbending. And then Appa gets his revenge on Long Feng. Just nice delivery on this of, like, we characterized Appa very heavily on his own last episode. We're not forgetting that here. This is the guy who basically stopped him from reuniting with the team already. So he just chucks Long Feng across the lake. And this will come in handy next episode because Long Feng's going to have a bison tooth mark on his ankle. Emotional ending here as Appa is back. And it's a nice one here. And just like, yeah, you know, Katara upset that basically because Jet has just died. That's the only reason that they're, like, still lost in thought even though Appa's back, is because someone they know was just killed. But yeah, what's going on with Zuko? He's going to let the mask go away, that persona go away for now. This is a big move. This is a big decision for this part of him to go away. But how will such a monumentous decision affect him? And as we see, it will actually result in a physical sickness for Zuko, that a decision that goes against the way he usually is actually results in a sickness. This is that idea in Avatar, that because the idea of like benders having chi, people in the Avatar world having chi, decisions that relate to those chakras which are turned on and off by like, you know, fear, positives and negatives, and so on. Of course they can affect your sort of energy, and so Zuko making such a big decision, of course it affects his energy and literally makes him sick and like leads to a drastic change in him. At least for this episode. Of course we see this again later on. Lin, in Old Wounds from Korra, goes through something similar and has to get sort of acupuncture therapy to get past it. That one's more related to sort of pent up feelings from the past, but the same basic idea here of Zuko making a decision that goes so against what he usually is like. It's a big moment. But yeah, like it's a fantastic episode. The intrigue of Ba Sing Se, just this general plot that's going on here with the Dai Li, the interlinking threads of like Jet and the Freedom Fighters, but Zuko and Iroh are still in the city. Return of Appa. It hits a lot of notes. The only thing that probably holds it back is just that there's kind of bigger stuff to come, in a way, of like, because we have Crossroads of Destiny coming up, because we have the Guru coming up, there's bigger stuff in this season. But this was super impressive, you know. The Lake Laogai reveal and everything that went along, it was really good. They obviously they didn't want to do a fight overly big so as to potentially outshine the fight from the end of the season, which I don't think they do. Toph primarily gets a chance to show off what she can do, whereas in the finale, Toph is more like, she's not even here basically until later on, and even then she's forced to surrender fairly early on. So it's mainly Katara and Aang who get to fight in the finale. Toph not so much, but she gets her opportunity here. So really, really good stuff. But yeah, that's been the commentary. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.